Listen, ain't nobody holding Caitlin Clark back. I know I say this a lot because I'm trying to figure out what people are watching when I hear people say, unleash Caitlin Clark. And I'm like, if y'all don't know girl is unleashed, or for those of you who get funny about saying girl, if y'all don't know grown woman is unleashed, I don't know what to tell.
He says nobody's holding her back, so why do you keep hearing people beg the league to unleash her? Hold that thought, because the award that just dropped doesn't only answer it. Buried inside it is one number that should end the argument for good, and almost nobody is talking about it yet.
Not just the week, not just the game, but Eastern Conference Player of the Month. And that requires some comments from me, because I have told you all.
Eastern Conference Player of the Month, not Player of the Week, not one hot game, the entire month of June. And if you followed this channel since the preseason, you heard this called a special year for her back when the Fever were stumbling and everyone else had written the season off. That prediction just got stamped by the league office itself. And look at the company it puts her in. In the whole history of this franchise, only 2 players have ever won Player of the Month. The other is a Hall of Famer, Tamika Catchings, who did it 3 times. That's the room this trophy just walked her into. But the stat line under this award is carrying something bigger than a good month. A piece of history almost nobody flashing the trophy is going to mention. We'll get there. First, look at the kind of scorer she's become.
She's putting up MVP numbers. She is scoring in multiple ways. As I've said repeatedly, that her bag, as y'all like to say, her bag has gotten deeper. She's scoring in multiple ways.
The knock on her coming into the league was that she was just a shooter. A logo range gunner who'd get figured out the second a defense ran her off the three-point line. Watch what she actually did in June. She's not living in the parking lot anymore, she's driving all the way to the rim. She's pulling up in the mid-range, the exact shot critics kept demanding she add, and she went and added it. She's got a turnaround fadeaway from the elbow now, which is a veteran move, not a rookie move. And she's still doing the thing she's always done, finding 4 other people and putting the ball in their hands at the right second. When a scorer beats you one way, you build a wall in that one spot. When a scorer beats you from the arc, from the paint, from the elbow, and can pass you to death on top of it, there's no wall left to build. That's what a full offseason and a real role look like. And it shows up loud in the June box score.
This was Indiana's post about it, highlighting the month of June. 21.9 points per game, 45.6 field goal percentage, 8.2 assists per game, and 4 rebounds.
Nearly 22 points a night, just over 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 45.6% from the floor, 35% from 3. Sit with that shooting number for a second, because rewind 2 months and the story on this channel and everywhere else was the opposite. She lost it. Something's wrong with her. The percentages are down. Every cold night got treated like a crisis, and every hot night got explained away. And the honest answer the whole time was the boring one. She barely played the season before this, somewhere around 13 games. You do not walk back from that kind of missing time and shoot the lights out on night 1, you build back into it. 45.5% from the field over a full month is not a player who lost anything. That's a player who was ramping up in front of a crowd that wanted to declare her finished by May. And the assist number is the part people underrate. Scoring 22 a night is loud. Doing it while also sitting near the top of the entire league in setting other people up, that's the rare combination, and it points to something bigger than one player having a good month. It points to what she did to the whole team.
With Clark running the point, the Fever went 7-4 in June, boasted the league's best offense over that stretch. Indiana averaged a league-leading 95.5 points per game in the month on 48.9% shooting. The pace is off the charts, and the percentage is a huge indicator of
7-4 in June with her running the point. The best offense in the league over that stretch. And honestly, the team number is more absurd than her personal one. Indiana put up a league-leading 95.5 points a game that month, shooting almost 49% as a unit. That is not just a good offense. That is the best offense in the sport. And it happened in the exact window everyone keeps calling a roller coaster. Here's why that matters in wins and in standings, not just highlights. A point guard's real job isn't her own scoring line. It's what the four people around her look like when she's on the floor. You can score 30 and drag a team down. Plenty of players do. What you can't fake is turning an entire offense into the most efficient one in the league while personally sitting near the top in both scoring and assists. That's the whole case for why she's in the conversation for the biggest individual award there is. It's not the flashy logo threes that put her there. It's that when she plays, everyone around her scores more and the wins follow. And there was one night in June where that partnership hit a level the league had literally never seen before.
She had 32 points and 10 assists in an overtime win over Chicago on June 11th, making history alongside All-Star center Leah Boston as the first pair of WNBA teammates to both record a 30-point double-double in the same game. Clark had 21 points in a season-high 14 assists in a win over Toronto 5 nights later.
32 points and 10 assists in an overtime win over Chicago. And on that same night, her and Aaliyah Boston did something no two teammates in the history of this league had ever done together. Both of them posting a 30-point double-double in the same game. Read that again. Not the best duo of this season. Not the best fever duo. The first pair of teammates ever in a league that tipped off in 1997. When people frame this as a one-woman show, that's the detail that quietly wrecks the take, because you don't set a two-player record by yourself. She's making the star next to her better at the same time she's putting up her own numbers, and the two of them just walked into a record book that had been sitting untouched for the better part of 30 years. 5 nights later, she went out and dropped a season-high 14 assists on Toronto, with 21 points of her own. Different night, different way to beat you. And once you line all of these June games up next to each other, you get to the one stat I told you to hold on to. The one that isn't a nice month. It's a line drawn between her and everybody else who has ever played.
June 11th through the 22nd, she set a new WNBA record by recording at least 20 points and 5 assists in 6 consecutive games. Now, mind you, that would have been extended, but remember, she ended up leaving the game against Phoenix in that third quarter. She had already had like 19 points, and was it 5 or 7 assists? Something like that already. But anyway, 20 points, 5 assists in 6 consecutive games. It was the third time in her career that she had reached those marks in at least 5 consecutive games. All other WNBA players combined, all other WNBA players combined have only accomplished.
Here it is. From June 11th to the 22nd, she posted at least 20 points and 5 assists in 6 straight games. That's a brand new WNBA record. Nobody had ever strung 6 of those together before. But that's not even the number that should stop the argument. Drop the bar to 5 straight games of 20 and 5. Caitlin Clark has done that 3 separate times in her career already. Every other player in the history of this league, every guard, every legend, every name people throw out to call her overrated combined, all of them together have done it 3 times total. One player, 3. Everyone else who's ever laced up in this league combined, 3. That is not a hot streak. That is not a nice month that earned a trophy. That is a line drawn on the floor, with her on one side and the entire recorded history of the sport on the other. So when you hear someone say, unleash her, or she hasn't proven it, or let's wait and see, this is the receipt. The league doesn't hand out Player of the Month to be polite. It handed it over because the numbers left no room to give it to anyone else in the conference. And the wild part, the part that flips this from impressive to almost unfair, is that the streak should have been even longer than 6. It didn't stop because a defense finally solved her. It didn't stop because she cooled off. It stopped for a reason that had nothing to do with how she was playing.
Consecutive games. Clark's streak likely would have gone on. Oh, here it is. It says it right here. It would have likely gone on if not for a back injury that forced her to leave in the third quarter of a June 24th game against Phoenix. So I got ahead of myself there. She had 19 points and 8 assists. I said 5 or 7. It's actually 8. Whew.
A back injury. Third quarter, June 24th against Phoenix. She walks off, and here's the gut punch detail. She already had 19 points and 8 assists in that game before she left. 19 and 8, 3 quarters in. She was one bucket and one more pass away from extending that record again, and her own body pulled the plug, not the opponent. Think about what that does to how you grade the month. Everybody rates a season by the counting stats at the end. Nobody rates it by the games a player grinded through hurt, or the night an injury cut a historic run short with the record still sitting right there for the taking. This wasn't a player coasting on talent through an easy stretch. This was a player putting up the best offensive month in the league, while her back clearly was not right, on a team that spent the early season searching for itself, with the entire sport watching every single possession under a microscope nobody else in that league plays under. Take the skill as a given. She's obviously gifted. The phenomenal part is the circumstances she's stacking these numbers on top of. And the injury raises the only real question hanging over the back half of this season, which is what the record book looks like the moment she's fully healthy, because there are milestones sitting so close she could hit them in a single night.
Before exiting, it seems like every week Clark is rewriting the record books. There are more records on the horizon. She needs just 9 assists to reach 600 career assists and 5 3-pointers to reach 200 career 3-pointers made. Clark will almost assuredly reach both of those milestones in fewer games.
9 assists from 600 for her career. 5 made threes from 200, and when she gets there, not if, when, she'll have reached both of those milestones in fewer games than any player who has ever played in this league. Faster to 600 assists than anyone. Faster to 200 threes than anyone. In a career that's barely a season and a half old on the floor. Slow down on that, because it's easy to let these records blur into background noise. Every week, there's a new one. Fastest to this, first to do that, a mark that stood for a decade gone on a Tuesday. And when the records come this fast, the brain starts treating them like the weather. It's not the weather. These are marks that took the greats of this game entire careers to approach, and she's blowing past them before she's played 80 regular season games. The danger, if you're a fan of hers, isn't that she slows down. It's that you go numb to it and stop noticing what you're watching in real time. Which brings me to the people who are not numb to it at all. The ones who see exactly what's happening and have decided the correct response is to shrink it. Because the backlash to a run like this is its own story.
Yeah, that's right. They were around a long time, but they want us to believe that it's Caitlin Clark, da-da-da-da-da. Caitlin would likely have been riding the bench back in the day. And of course, I had to nicely tell this person that Caitlin Clark broke like 63 records as a rookie. So first of all, I told them they should be ashamed of themselves for instead of just.
So somebody takes a post that was meant to honor the legends of this league, the women who built it, 30 years of them. And instead of just celebrating that history, they use it as a club to swing at the player in front of them. She'd be riding the bench back in the day. That's the claim. From one commenter online, stated like it's settled fact. And notice the move, because you see it constantly. To lift up the past, they've decided they have to tear down the present, as if respect is a fixed amount and giving any to her means stealing it from someone else. It doesn't work like that. You can put Cynthia Cooper and the whole 90s Comets in the Hall of Fame and stand up and clap, and also acknowledge what the player in front of you is doing right now. Those two things live together just fine. But watch that particular insult fall apart the second you check it. The player they claim would be glued to the bench broke somewhere around 63 records as a rookie. As a rookie, so run the logic all the way out. If she's not that impressive and she still rewrote 63 lines in the record book in her first year, what exactly does that say about the era she supposedly couldn't compete in? That take doesn't diminish her. It diminishes the very players it was pretending to defend. It's an own goal dressed up as a history lesson, and it tells you where all of this actually comes from, because you don't pour that much energy into shrinking someone who isn't a threat to the story you'd rather tell. The screaming isn't confidence, it's the opposite of it. And if you want the real measure of a person, not the internet's version, the real one, you don't ask the strangers online. You ask the people standing right next to her every single day.
Escalate.
Caitlin Clark, iconic!
Caitlin Clark, generational. Game changer.
Shooter. Clark, oh yeah! Here we go! Right on the money for Caitlin Clark. Clark, oh, behind the back!
I have the opportunity to play with one of the greatest players that's ever going to play the game of basketball.
Clark hits a three. No chance right there. Clark pulls it.
When she shot it, I was like,
And shoot.
One of the greatest players who's ever going to play the game. That's not a hype account online. That's a woman who shares a locker room with her, puts on the same jersey, and watches her work when the cameras are off. That's the tell nobody talks about enough. Role players and bench guys do not get their teammates calling them generational on camera. Teammates are usually the first people to quietly resent a star who's all flash and no substance, because they see the version the highlights hide. When the people closest to her are the loudest ones in the room, that's not marketing. That's a verdict from the only jury that watches every rep. So line it all up. The league office gave her the month. The record book gave her a line no one else in history shares. Her own teammates are on camera calling her one of the greatest ever. That's about as complete a case as a single month can make. But she wasn't the only one holding a trophy this week, and the name on the other one is the exact comparison that decides how this whole MVP race ends.
It should come as no surprise to anyone that that player is A'ja Wilson. As you see here from the graphic, 26.5 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, 2 steals, 1.8 blocks, and 52.6% from the field. And over here, the Aces said back-to-back Player of the Month awards for the MVP. So
A'ja Wilson out west, 26.5 a game, better than 10 rebounds a night, better than 50% from the field, and back-to-back Player of the Month for the reigning MVP. That is the standard. That is the mountain at the top of this league, and there's no pretending otherwise. So this is where it actually lands. On one side, you've got the most efficient offense in the sport running through a second-year guard, a record that separates her from every player who came before her, and her own teammates on camera, calling her generational. On the other, a two-time over MVP putting up numbers that argue for themselves. This is the debate the whole season is bending toward, and it doesn't get to hide behind vibes anymore. So I want to hear it from you, straight. After the month you just watched, broken all the way down, is Caitlin Clark's season the best individual year in the league right now, or is the champ still holding that crown until somebody rips it away? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me why. If you rock with breakdowns like this one, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.